Hello friends, it's Joelle and welcome to a very casual what I eat in a week. It's been a while since I've done one of these that is not K-pop motivated, so I thought I'd just show you guys genuinely what I eat. If you've been here for a while, I appreciate you, and you probably know that I don't like just showing what I eat, but I also enjoy talking a little bit, and since I know that this is going to be coming out around Valentine's Day, I thought I'd sprinkle in some fun relationship advice, some crowdsourced relationship advice that I asked you all on my Instagram, and I'm really curious to hear what you all have to say. My earring's stuck. I got the matcha Thai tea, or the green Thai tea at Little Sweet. Oh, it's so much sweeter than I expected it to be. It's still really good though. Since we're here and I can just overlay clips from the rest of my day, I thought it'd be fun to look at some of the responses I've gotten so far. We're gonna start on a positive note of the best relationship advice people have gotten. I also asked people for the worst relationship advice they've gotten, which I'm very excited to read through also. Karina said, find someone who is happy to grow and always looking to self-improve as a couple. So real that I feel like people often approach relationships as like, oh, I need to work on myself to be ready for this relationship, which I think is true to some extent, but truly the way that one person behaves in a relationship with one person is going to be very different from how they behave in a relationship with another person. And I feel like your ability to learn and grow as a unit is just as important as your individual growth. Jason said, honesty equates to the purest form of love and it hurts sometimes. That's really interesting because I don't think I've ever heard someone talk about honesty like that, but honestly, when you talk about trust, which I think is, you know, ultimately the root of honesty, being able to trust that what someone says is reality is really big, and knowing how to frame honesty in a way that hurts less, that's out of a place of love rather than a place of insecurity or attacking, that's a really important form of love. I love this piece of advice that Claire gave. You're single until you're married. I know some people might disagree with that. Not everyone believes in marriage, obviously, but personally, I'm trying to have one marriage, lock it in, and leave it at that. But up until then, I do not trust that someone is going to be with me through thick and thin, in sickness and in health, because they don't have to, and I won't expect that of them because they have not sworn under oath before me, before God, before witnesses that they will do that. And also, very practically speaking, I'm not the type of person to ever move in with someone, share finances with someone, get a dog with someone, unless we're married. People cheat, people lie, people walk out on each other all the time, and I'm not saying that I expect that from my boyfriend, but on a very basic level, I'm not going to tie myself into some negotiations with someone when they have no obligation to me. And it goes both ways too, where I'm not necessarily assuming that someone's going to walk out on me, but also I'm not going to make commitments to someone if I haven't fully decided that they're the person I'm going to commit my entire life to, if that makes sense.
It's just a rice cake filled with black sesame. This is not the most photogenic thing I've ever seen. That looks disgusting. It looks like sludge on the inside, but it's yummy. It's like sweet and nutty.
He said, oh, just please put that Berkeley. So it's this bitch. She's like, look at it from you eventually.
Hey Queen. We're out here getting dinner. We're waiting for Paula because it's Paula's birthday. Cheers! Happy birthday, Paula! I didn't auto capture as in thing. I was so hungry for lunch that I devoured it without filming, so sorry. I had some leftover soup though from the hot pot I made. Also, These snacks, so freaking good. It sounds really weird to have honey mustard and onion flavored pretzel bits, but they're actually so addictive. I think they just make this out of like the broken pretzels that they can't sell in the regular bags, but it's really good.
Danielle and I are enjoying some mint chip ice cream.
Yeah, I don't really like mint chip.
It's a very controversial flavor. Some people
Is it controversial?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just like, it tastes like toothpaste.
Oh.
Kind of in the mood to eat really unhealthy, so I'm just having some leftover mackerel from the Korean grocery store. Really good, by the way. Nom nom nom. Also having some white kimchi. I'm also gonna make myself one of these Korean hot dogs. Just put it in the air fryer, it's super easy. While I'm waiting for my corn dog to cook, one thing that I've been thinking about a lot of in terms of relationships, and not just romantic relationships, but any relationships, is the importance of fighting. Because I feel like people don't really give advice on how to fight well with your significant other, with your friends, with your family, and as cliche as it is, to me, the most important aspect when you're fighting with someone you care about is deciding what you actually want. Are you fighting to stay close to the person, or are you fighting to be right? And those are two different things. Ideally, they go hand in hand, but sometimes they don't. And the motivation you have behind these conversations and the fights that you're having will ultimately dictate the type of language you use, the attitude you have. At least in my own experience, not that I'm an expert or anything, those conversations when you are on the same side and when you do ultimately decide that your care for someone and your care for the relationship is priority, it's a lot easier to disagree and to accept when you're wrong, and for them to accept when they're wrong, and to ultimately be a little more productive. Wow, you got a lot of food.
The family later.
Oh yeah.
As well. Not till June. No, yeah.
Nice.
It's just tied to my GitHub, and I haven't changed my GitHub since college. His lower body, like the rigging is messed up, and that's also before I took animation. So I had no idea how to animate.
I overslept my alarm. Strong. little bit of time left in my lunch break before getting back to some emails. I wanted to go through the worst relationship advice that you all have gotten that you shared on Instagram, just because I thought it'd be fun. I'm really curious to see what people said. Okay, the first one I see is Andy Tan Photography saying, sleep on the first date. Sir or ma'am Andy, whoever told you to sleep on the first date? I don't think I've ever heard that instructed to someone. I feel like that's something that tends to happen, but I am aghast that someone would actually recommend that as a good strategy for locking it in. Put yourself first. That is really interesting because I think a lot of people have that mindset when they are trying to just let a relationship happen. They're like, I'm gonna work on me, I'm gonna focus on being my best self, and then the right relationship will come. But in some ways, I can totally see how, depending on the stage that you're in a relationship, if you're really looking for someone that you can partner with for life, putting yourself first does not work. I think almost inherently loving someone is extremely self-sacrificial. Jane said the worst advice she received was when someone tried to convince her to date for a person's potential. That is so rough. While I do believe that people change and grow and you should be changing and growing together in a relationship, definitely don't date your idea of someone, because that idea might never come to fruition and it'll be a sad day when you realize that. The last one I'm going to read for now is find the person your parents want. As an Asian person, and I'm sure like any immigrant family can relate, that's hilarious because parents have many opinions on things. And I do think that my perspective on this is maybe a little bit different, where I definitely would never just date or marry someone because my parents liked them. However, I do think it is a really big red flag if your significant other's parents really don't like you and will not like you for arbitrary reasons. Oftentimes, when I've seen parents disapprove of significant others, it's over really dumb things, such as they didn't go to a good enough school. They're not the same ethnicity as us. And while I think part of me is definitely frustrated by older generations that can be racist or prejudiced for no good reason, I've also definitely seen the flip side of pursuing a relationship when parents don't approve and it really negatively impacting the relationship. And it doesn't just live in a bubble, it could impact your future children. Hello, generational trauma. So I think it is important to consider the dynamic that you're bringing into your family and the idea that you may not be setting your significant other up for success if you can't convince your parents to like them. I would love to hear y'all's opinions on that because it is a really nuanced, tricky situation. People have to deal with this all the time. And I would love to hear if you all have gotten really good or really bad relationship advice. Let me know what people are telling you, because you know it's a season of love. So as a community, I feel like we can all learn from each other's experiences a little. Now we made it to Friday. I cannot tell you how happy I am. I'm literally so hungry. It's almost like 2 and I haven't eaten lunch, so of course I'm just having all of my Korean leftovers. I'm eating our takeout leftovers with this leftover Korean chicken rice soup that I cannot remember the name of right now.
It looks like this.
Someone commented on one of my food YouTube videos. They're like, wow, this food looks so good, but you have terrible table manners. I don't remember which video it was exactly. It's so good, I'm so hungry. It made me laugh because it's true. I do have terrible manners. I burp all the time. My dog sits on my lap sometimes when I eat at the table. And because half my meals, I literally just stand here at the counter and eat my food straight out of like the container that we put it in the fridge in. So I apologize if the way that I eat offends anyone, but it's not gonna be changing anytime soon.